My best friend got pregnant by my husband. Now she wants me to be the godmother. I'm a 32-year-old woman, and if you had told me a year ago that my best friend and my husband would betray me in the worst way imaginable, I would have laughed in your face. Emma and I had been inseparable since we were 12. She was the maid of honor at my wedding, the person I called in the middle of the night when I needed to cry, the one I trusted with everything. And then there was James, my husband of 7 years. He wasn't perfect, but I believed we were building a life together. The betrayal hit me like a truck. Emma showed up at my house one evening, pale, shaking, clutching her stomach. She said she needed to confess something before it was too late. My heart raced, thinking maybe she was sick, maybe she had cancer. Instead, she whispered, "I'm pregnant, and it's James's baby." I swear I couldn't breathe. At first, I thought it was some cruel joke. Then I saw the tears in her eyes, the way she couldn't even look at me. My whole world cracked in that moment. My husband, my partner, had been sleeping with my best friend behind my back. But what made it worse, what turned my grief into sheer rage, was the next thing she said: "I still want you in my life. I want you to be the godmother." I laughed, but it wasn't from humor. It was the kind of laugh you make when you're about to lose your mind. I didn't even sleep that night. I stayed on the couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying Emma's words over and over like a broken record. "I'm pregnant, and it's James's baby." By morning, my body felt numb, but my mind was boiling. James stumbled into the kitchen half awake, rubbing his eyes, asking why I hadn't made coffee like usual. I just stood there, clutching the edge of the counter, trying to hold myself together long enough to get the words out. "James," I said, my voice trembling, "how long have you been sleeping with Emma?" The way his face drained of color told me everything before he even spoke. His mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. He muttered, "Who told you?" as if that was the problem. Not the betrayal. Not the pregnancy. Just the fact that I knew. Something inside me snapped. I slammed the coffee mug onto the counter so hard it shattered. He jumped back like I was about to hit him. "You disgusting coward," I hissed. "You slept with my best friend, and got her pregnant. And now she wants me to be the godmother? Are you both insane?" He tried to spin it, of course. He said it was a mistake, that it only happened a few times, that he didn't mean for it to go that far. He even had the audacity to say he still loved me. I laughed in his face, a bitter, broken sound. "You love me? You've destroyed me." When I stormed out of the kitchen, I locked myself in the bathroom just to breathe. That's when my phone buzzed. It was Emma. Another text. This time, she was saying she wanted to work through this together, that the baby deserves to have all of us around him, and that she thought naming me godmother would prove our bond was unbreakable. My hand shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone. I couldn't believe the level of delusion. She wasn't just asking me to forgive her, she was asking me to celebrate the child she conceived with my husband, like some twisted way of binding me to them forever. That afternoon, my mother came by. She knew something was wrong the second she saw me. I broke down in her arms, sobbing until I couldn't breathe, finally choking out the truth. She froze, her eyes going wide with horror, and then she whispered, "That girl sat at my table every Christmas. That man called me Mom." The worst part? My mom wasn't even surprised about James. She admitted she never fully trusted him, but she was shocked about Emma. She kept shaking her head, saying, "That girl was like my second daughter. How could she do this to you?" And in that moment, I realized something chilling. Emma didn't just betray me. She betrayed everyone who loved me. And somehow, she thought she could still keep her place in my life. After that night, it was like living in a nightmare that refused to end. Every time I thought it couldn't get worse, Emma found a way to twist the knife deeper. She started calling me constantly. At first, it was apologies, the same pitiful lines repeated over and over. "I didn't mean to hurt you, it just happened, we didn't plan this." But soon, the tone shifted. It wasn't about guilt anymore, it was about her pregnancy. She told me she needed me to support her through this, that she couldn't raise the baby alone. She even said, "James isn't ready to be a father, but you could help me." I almost threw my phone against the wall when I read that. My husband impregnated her, and instead of holding him accountable, she was begging me to pick up the pieces. Then came the real mind games. Emma started reaching out to my family behind my back. She told my mother she hoped I wouldn't abandon her during the most important time of her life. She told my sister that friendship is about forgiveness and that I was being cold by shutting her out. Suddenly, I was getting calls from relatives asking why I was being so cruel to a pregnant woman. I couldn't believe it. I was the betrayed wife, the one whose best friend and husband destroyed her marriage, and somehow, Emma was painting herself as the victim. Worse, she was using her pregnancy like a shield, daring anyone to criticize her because the baby shouldn't suffer. James, meanwhile, had completely lost his spine. Instead of taking responsibility, he avoided me at every turn. He stayed late at work, and when he was home, he sulked around in silence. I confronted him again, asked him if he wanted to leave and be with Emma. His answer? "I don't know. I don't know." Those 3 words shattered whatever scraps of love I had left for him. But the final straw came 2 weeks later, when Emma organized a little family dinner. Without telling me, she invited my mother, my sister, and, of course, James. I only found out because my sister slipped and mentioned it. The dinner was at Emma's apartment, and when I stormed over there, I walked straight into the most surreal scene of my life. Emma was glowing, hand on her stomach, smiling like a saint. She was talking about baby names, about how she wanted me in the delivery room, about how this child would unite us forever. My family sat there awkwardly, half nodding, half avoiding my eyes. And James? James was on the couch, staring at his feet, too cowardly to speak up. I lost it. I stood in the middle of that room and screamed at the top of my lungs. I told them all how insane this was, how humiliating it was for me to be treated like some extra piece in their twisted little family drama. I told Emma she wasn't my best friend anymore, that she was nothing to me but a parasite who stole my husband and wanted me to raise her mistake. The silence that followed was deafening. My sister finally stood up, put her hand on my shoulder, and whispered, "I'm on your side." But everyone else just sat there in shock, and Emma, her eyes filled with tears, her voice trembling, had the nerve to say, "If you walk away, you'll regret it. This baby deserves you." That's when I knew she wasn't just delusional. She was dangerous. After that disastrous dinner, I thought Emma might finally back off. I thought maybe she'd realize how insane it was to keep trying to drag me into her fantasy. But no. That was just the beginning. The next morning, I woke up to dozens of notifications on my phone. Emma had made a long Facebook post, public, about how she was heartbroken that her best friend abandoned her in her time of need. She didn't mention my name directly, but she didn't need to. Everyone knew who she was talking about. She wrote about how she was alone with an unplanned pregnancy, how she still believed in forgiveness, and how she hoped I would come around because she wanted her child to grow up surrounded by love, not resentment. Comments poured in. People from high school, old neighbors, even distant relatives of hers left little heart emojis, calling her so brave. Some even wrote things like, "Your friend doesn't sound like a real friend," or "You deserve better people in your life." I felt like I was losing my mind. She had flipped the script so perfectly that to anyone outside the situation, I looked like the villain. When I confronted her about it, she said, "I never said your name. If you feel guilty, that's on you." My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Meanwhile, James still refused to pick a side. He slept in the guest room now, like a ghost haunting the house. One night, I walked past his door and heard him on the phone, whispering. He was talking to Emma. Not about me. Not about us. About doctor's appointments. About how they needed to figure out nursery plans. That was the first night I packed a bag and went to stay at my mom's. I couldn't take it anymore, living under the same roof with a man who betrayed me and had the audacity to plan his future with her while pretending he still loved me. Then came the legal threats. Emma, in her twisted logic, decided that since I was like family and she had named me in conversations as a future godmother, she could push for some sort of legal arrangement to ensure the child had stability. I thought it was ridiculous, until I got a letter from her lawyer. It wasn't an actual lawsuit, but it was a formal notice that she was considering custody-related actions involving close family friends. It was absurd, but terrifying. I had to hire a lawyer of my own. Sitting in that office, explaining how my best friend was pregnant with my husband's baby and wanted me legally tied to it, I could barely keep a straight face. The lawyer didn't even blink. Apparently he'd seen worse family implosions, but he warned me to cut off all communication with Emma and James until things settled. But how could I? My entire social circle had exploded. Friends I'd known for years were picking sides. Some believed me. Others fell for Emma's act. One even called me cruel for not standing by a pregnant woman who clearly needed her best friend. And through it all, Emma kept reaching out. Sometimes sweet, I want my child to know you, you're the only person I trust. Sometimes manipulative, if you don't step up, everyone will know the truth about how heartless you are. And sometimes downright chilling, if you walk away, you'll regret it. You'll see this baby everywhere. You'll never escape us. That last message made me realize something horrifying. Emma wasn't just trying to keep me in her life. She wanted to bind me to her forever, whether I liked it or not. The day I finally snapped was the day Emma showed up at my mother's house uninvited. I was staying there temporarily, trying to rebuild some sanity, when the doorbell rang. My mom opened it, and there she was, Emma, with her round belly and crocodile tears, holding a baby blanket she had knitted. She tried to hand it to me like some peace offering, saying, "I want you to have this, so you'll always feel connected to him." I nearly collapsed. My mom, furious, told her to leave immediately. But Emma didn't budge. She stood in the doorway like she owned the place and said loudly, "You're not abandoning me. I won't let you. This child is part of James, and James is part of you, so whether you like it or not, we're all tied together." That was it. I grabbed my phone and hit record. For the first time, I decided to stop being the victim in silence. I filmed Emma ranting, filmed her admitting she slept with my husband, filmed her insisting I had to be part of this baby's life. I posted it anonymously online and shared it privately with friends who had doubted me. The fallout was nuclear. Within hours, the same people who had been commenting heart emojis on her poor me posts were messaging me apologies. My sister said half the family group chat exploded when they saw the clip. Emma's carefully crafted image of the brave, abandoned pregnant woman crumbled instantly. James tried to call me that night, demanding I take the video down. He accused me of humiliating him. I laughed bitterly into the phone. Humiliation? That's what you're worried about? You humiliated me the second you touched her. Now everyone finally knows what you did. He hung up. The next few days were chaos. Emma posted another long message on Facebook claiming I had twisted her words and invaded her privacy. But the video spoke for itself. People weren't stupid. They heard her voice, her confessions. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt like I had some power back. But it came with a cost. James moved out of our house officially, leaving me with a mountain of bills and memories I couldn't bear to look at. He went straight to Emma's apartment, and soon enough, pictures of them together surfaced online, James with his hand on her belly, Emma glowing like she'd won some prize. They didn't even try to hide anymore. My lawyer told me I had enough grounds for divorce, and I started the process immediately. I thought I would feel relief, but all I felt was emptiness. 10 years of my life reduced to ashes because of two people I trusted most. The humiliation wasn't over. At the next family gathering, my cousin's engagement party, Emma and James showed up together. Emma waltzed in like nothing had happened, smiling at everyone, introducing herself as if she was some new wife-to-be. I thought my knees would give out. My mom held me up, whispering, "Breathe, don't let them see you break." And then Emma did the unthinkable. She raised her glass during a toast and announced, "We're so happy to have a baby on the way. And I'm still hoping, my name, will agree to be the godmother." It would mean the world to me. The entire room froze. I swear I heard forks clatter onto plates. And me? I stood up, my hands trembling, and said clearly enough for everyone to hear, Emma, I wouldn't be the godmother of your child if it were the last baby on earth. You destroyed my marriage, and you still expect me to celebrate your betrayal? You're delusional. A few people clapped. Others just stared in stunned silence. Emma's face burned red, her smile cracking for the first time. James pulled her arm, trying to get her to sit down, but she stormed out instead, tears streaming. That night, I finally felt something close to power. But I also knew this war wasn't over. Emma wasn't the type to give up. She wanted to bind me to her forever, and she wasn't done yet. The months that followed felt like I was walking through fire. The divorce process dragged on, full of paperwork, hearings, and endless arguments about who owned what. James wanted to fight me over the house, even though he was the one who abandoned it. At one point, his lawyer tried to argue that I was emotionally unstable and that I had invaded Emma's privacy with the video. My lawyer shut that down instantly, reminding the court that James's infidelity was well documented and Emma had freely admitted it on tape. Still, every meeting, every letter with his name on it, was another wound reopening. It wasn't just the betrayal anymore, it was the shamelessness. He wasn't sorry. Neither of them were. They acted like I was the obstacle in their love story, like I was the villain standing in the way of their new family. When Emma finally gave birth, I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd stop harassing me. Instead, she doubled down. She sent me a picture of the newborn, with the message, "Meet Lucas. I hope you'll reconsider. He deserves his godmother." I deleted the message immediately, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. She still wanted me tied to them, still believed she could trap me in this twisted triangle where I'd play supporting actress to her starring role. Then came the lowest blow. A cousin told me Emma had been spreading rumors at family gatherings, claiming I was bitter because I couldn't have kids. That I was jealous of her pregnancy, and that was why I refused to be involved. Hearing that nearly broke me. It wasn't true, I hadn't even tried for children yet, but it cut me to my core. She had taken my husband, my reputation, and now she wanted to attack my worth as a woman. I knew then there was no reconciliation. No closure. The only way to survive was to cut them out completely. The divorce was finalized 2 months later. I kept the house, but it felt hollow, haunted by memories of a life I'd never get back. James signed everything over in exchange for walking away with his freedom and his new family. I watched him in court, pale and restless, but he never looked me in the eye. Not once. I blocked Emma on everything. Changed my number. Told my family they had to choose, either respect my boundaries or lose me too. Some wavered, but most stood by me. Slowly, the calls stopped. The gossip faded. And yet, I still see them sometimes. At the grocery store, at family weddings, in pictures that make their way back to me despite my best efforts. James pushing a stroller. Emma glowing like she won the war. And every time, I feel that old bitterness creeping back, mixing with a strange, cold relief. Because the truth is, I escaped. They chained themselves to each other with lies, betrayal, and a baby conceived in deceit. That's their prison now, not mine. As for me? I'm still healing. Some nights I lie awake, wondering how I missed the signs, how two people I loved most could stab me so deeply. Other nights, I dream of moving far away, starting fresh where their shadows can't reach me. All I know is this: I will never be their godmother. I will never be their scapegoat. And I will never again let anyone convince me that betrayal deserves forgiveness. Sometimes, though, when the silence is heavy and I'm alone in that big empty house, I ask myself the question I can't shake: did I really win, or did I just survive?
Follow me for more stories.